Hello, here we are again with Conscious Mind Tripping. Me, your host, Audrey Newmont, and we are on to the next segment of my book, The Mind Trip Game Play Your Way to Conscious Thinking. And today we are talking about the crash. This is one that a lot of people relate to. And when I'm describing this to people in session, a lot of times they get it and it answers a lot of questions and it really gives them good perspective. So let's start reading and jump in. Ah, so if you look at this picture, we have a car. Remember the car analogy? There's a moment where we have trauma, we have drama, whatever, and we have difficulty with relationships. We have insomnia and nightmares, disconnecting, substance abuse problems, depression, difficulty with all kinds of things. So, isolation, PTSD, I mean, you name it, it's from the crash. So, let's start reading. We've all had that moment in the lifetime, in the timeline of our lives, where we hit a wall. Something happened that was traumatic, and in that moment, we did the best we could to survive and then move beyond it. If you think about it with the car analogy, it would be like you had an accident and it damaged your car. Sometimes it's just a fender bender and we acquire a little dent and move on. And sometimes it's a full out collision and our car is in bad shape. At that point, we would take it to the mechanic and get it fixed because we always need our cars to get around. Unfortunately, in life, for many of us, after our traumatic crash, we never found a mechanic, therapist, to help figure out how to get the dings out and put the car back into good working form. So we live with the dings and dents and keep moving on. I have found that what a lot of us do is to take the pieces of us that fall off and put them in our trunk. We hide all the hurt and damage in there for no one else to see, and we carry it around. After years of adding more and more of our baggage, it weighs down the back of our car. In fact, it can start bagging around back there in such a way that it makes it hard for us to drive. Using the timeline allows the opportunity to address past accidents in a new way and with a different perspective. Some of the work you will be able to do on your own, and for those of us that have had a big crash or more, it might be a good idea to find a therapist who can help direct you through the challenging process of letting it go. So, the rear view mirror. As you are doing the timeline process, it will give you an idea of the amount of time you are spending with your attention in the rear view mirror. Think about how you're feeling while you're looking in the past. Are you still angry, resentful, guilty, or ashamed? Are you ready to let that go? The timeline is designed to help with all that. To forgive is to set a prisoner free and to discover that that prisoner is you. By Louis B. Smids. That is one of my favorite quotes. To forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover that the prisoner is you. Think about that. And are you ready to be free? When you think about this quote, it basically answers the question of how important it is to forgive ourselves and others. I do not believe we can be the fullness of who we are when we're harboring resentment in our heart. Many of us have been taught to think that it is powerful when we don't forgive someone. People say they will never forgive someone as if it will forever hurt the other person. We learn a belief about staying angry with people. I will never forgive them for what they did is a very common phrase. And when we add, I'll get even with them to the scenario, then you can see how things will never change. Many of the wars that are taking place in the world are an extreme example of this. In my therapy practice, I'm quite sure the word forgiveness comes up with the very first session for many of my clients. Over the years, I have found that some of the biggest issues that my clients face had their foundation in a lack of forgiveness for themselves or others. It's important to focus on what you're looking to accomplish in forgiving and what you gain in the process. When we go through the pain and hurt and get to the other side, fear is no longer the ruler. You get to be free. Here's a quote by Marianne Williamson. Forgiveness is not always easy. At times, it feels more painful than the wound we suffered to forgive the one that inflicted it. And yet, there is no peace without forgiveness. In reality, it deeply hurts those who choose not to forgive. When you hold on to anger, hurt, and resentment that is caused by not forgiving, you make it uncomfortable to be with yourself. In that discomfort, you may look for something to soothe the beast inside. Alcohol, drugs, and other addictions may ease the pain for a little while, but it never goes away. It stays locked up inside the heart and mind, causing a deep unconscious struggle. Your perception about forgiving is key. What value does anger and resentment about past actions hold for you? Think about that. How do those feelings serve you? You may say that those feelings do not serve you at all. If they didn't, you wouldn't still have them. Keep looking deeper into this to find your beliefs. Remember, it is all about you, not what other people have done. You own your space in the world, not being at the effect of other people's stuff. Here's Mahatma Gandhi. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is an attribute of the strong. That's a big deal. Forgiving creates more comfort with life in so many ways. I have witnessed people in my Forgive and Let Go workshop who have experienced powerful physical reactions, saying things like, I feel like bricks have been lifted off my chest and my shoulders are lighter and I feel freer. It's amazing how that can happen. Forgiveness relieves the hurt. To be clear, it does not erase the past, nor does it imply that what happened was okay. When you forgive, what you're saying is that I choose to let it go because I love myself and those around me enough to let go of the past and be present to live my greatest life. Unfortunately, we also hold on to the idea that forgiving is an extremely difficult emotional experience to go through. I believe that it is important to put a lot of attention on compassion to make it less painful. The suggestion is to forgive the unconscious and flawed thinking of the person or persons who wronged us. Take the time to recognize their ignorance in regard to their thoughts and actions associated with the circumstances. Not always, but much of the time, another person's actions were not intentionally meant to hurt you. People are just in their own program of dysfunction and operating from an unconscious place. You choose compassion for the other person's unconscious fear that would make them do what they did. You choose compassion for their unconscious thinking and beliefs. You're not saying that what they did was okay. You're saying that you understand their limited thinking. In that understanding, you know that you will no longer allow that kind of behavior or actions to influence your life. That's a big, big part of it. I'm going to read that sentence again. In that understanding, you know that you will no longer allow that kind of behavior or actions to influence you in your life. That's called owning your power. Forgiveness also allows us to learn from our experiences, to grow from it, and gain the wisdom needed to create healthy relationships. We use that information to avoid having to experience the same situation again. When you're looking at the timeline, Many of the patterns that we continue are based in a lack of letting go of the past and carrying it with us. There is a focus on the past issue and recreating the event again and again, not as much focus on the possible fabulous future. So when you don't forgive yourself or others, you have a continual subconscious negative emotional pull on your emotions. When you are holding on or holding that kind of negative space in your heart, it can make it quite difficult to be fully in love with yourself or someone else. Let's face it, in the scheme of all things, when it comes down to it, love is that thing that makes people want to be present in life. So here is a mind road trip for letting go. Take a minute or two and look at your timeline. Do you see patterns that are happening over and over again? Maybe with relationships, a bad breakup with no forgiveness, awareness, or understanding? Do you create a similar relationship after that? How about in other areas of your life? Where are you holding on to resentment? Who are you still angry with? Does that situation still matter? Is it worth the feeling that may be holding you down? Answer these questions for yourself. You can stop the video here and think about those things. So go with the flow. Expectations are one of those tricky things in life. We look forward to things in advance of them actually happening, and it feels good, like going on vacation and being excited about all the fun things you're going to do. We get excited about the prospect of a new partner. Getting a new job is usually a big deal. Think about times in your life where you were overly excited for something and it felt flat. What happened and how did you feel at the time? When you are continually in the choice point and holding a clear intention, there's a choice to either resent those things that didn't happen as you wanted them to, or you can recalibrate, realign, and move into the new direction that life is taking you. I have found over the years that many times it was a blessing that my plans didn't happen and I was able to do something even better. Remember, your attention is always creative. When life is not what you expected, it's all right to feel disappointment. It's just not a good idea to live in it. Take the time to feel the hurt, maybe do a little grieving, do what you need to be with those feelings. Then, when ready, get back into the flow of life and create with intention. Pay attention to your feelings while driving the timeline road of your life. So you drive with resilience. This is a big deal. Resilience is, especially in this moment in time, it's huge. I have found time and time again that people I meet do not have the ability to deal with challenges as they come up, and they're the ones that they stick their head in the ground and they say they don't know how to handle bad news. They get totally involved in the problem, how horrible it is. They will tell anyone who will listen to them about the details of the challenge and not once focus on what they can do about it. They're simply an unconscious victim to the situations of life. Simply, they don't focus attention on any possible solutions. Think about the car analogy and the idea of resilience. When you maintain your resilience, you're able to recover as quickly as possible from the drama and traumas of life. You continue to find the next possible solution that will move you up in the game board to cruise control. Consider how the car represents the body. For many of us, we have to drive our car to get from here to there. Next to our home and phone, it's the most important material thing. If something goes wrong with your car and it will not run, there's just no options. You either have to fix it or you have to get another one. The amount of money that we allocate, hold on, the amount of money that we allocate per month to keep the car maintained and filled with gas is important to note as well. I know for my family, it's a chunk of change in the budget. When you take time to let go of whatever the trauma is, you're owning your power by being resilient. The funny thing is that the most important thing is the soul, the driver part of you. We will take our car in to get it fixed, but not fixed who is driving the car. When you develop your ability to be resilient, you make sure that you take your car in for service, take a pit stop, and let someone help you get back on the road again. When you own your ability to be resilient, you come first. You are the most important thing. When your tank is full and you're happy, then everything else can fall into place. It's kind of like when you're on an airplane and they tell the parents to put the oxygen first so that you can be there for the kids. I have found in my own life that when I'm happy, my household is running smoother, not so much when I let the bothers of the world affect me. Being resilient means that you keep going. Be present in the moment, focus on the solutions, and take actions that will move you in the direction of your happiness. Many people want to be resilient and they simply just don't know how to do it. They get stuck in the pain of a moment and simply don't know how to move on with life. You may know people who still live as though they were in high school, or maybe you have a friend who lost a job and feel as though they are incapable of getting another position. In my lifetime, I've met many people who talk about the distant past trauma as if it was yesterday. Unfortunately, they have no idea that they're stuck. It's like they are driving off the exit on the freeway and doing the victimization loop to get back onto the same pothole-filled freeway. I had a client that came to me who was so distraught over the end of a marriage. She told me all about the horrible things that he did over and over again, how dishonest, unkind, addicted, etc. Finally, I asked her when this divorce happened, thinking it was like a month ago. She looked me square in the eye and said, 8 years ago. Well, I did have a few things to share with her after that. I told her that it seemed to me the whole time she was talking that it had just happened, as she was so angry and resentful with him. I explained that when we go through something extremely challenging like that, it's important to be in a process to let go of the hurt. In that practice, you learn to move in a new direction, equipped with the insight and wisdom from the lesson learned. I think that in all those 8 years, this had never occurred to her, and understandably so. No one had ever modeled that behavior with her. She came from a strong program of being a victim in life. So my client was able to own her resiliency when she understood how to own her ability to recognize her behavior and get clarity. She recognized that she'd been holding on to feelings about something that was long over. She took compassionate responsibility for her part in the relationship and why she stayed. She focused her attention on the intention for her future relationships. She developed a new perception of herself and the value that she brings the world. In time, while continuing the inner work with herself, she was able to change course from her anger, resentment, and remorse, and this opened up a new lease on life, and she was able to own her resiliency. If I were to give being a resilient a sound, it would be like you have an inner grrr. There's a lion inside of us that will fight when necessary. Do what works for you to own that inner beast that has your back. So here's a mind road trip for resilience. Ponder your own life for a minute. Have you had your own share of miserable situations? How long ago did they happen? Did you find that you keep creating the same kind of problems? Do the past problems of your life still cause you to feel hurt or angry? Did you ever do something constructive to heal from whatever the situation was? Maybe see a therapist, talk it out with a friend or a loved one. Did you get support in any way? It is a tricky thing getting help for life's problems. We feel like we should know how to fix the hurt, or we should just get over it already, or we think we can just bury it and it'll go away. Could possibly be that a belief in pride might be a factor. Think about that one. So you're going to shift into thrive. You be in the creative choice point of right now. Choose to move forward with conscious intention. Feel enthusiasm and excitement. Be mindful of where your attention is. Have faith in the best and highest happening. Use your creative imagination to vision the future. Focus on solutions. Take constructive action and be resilient. Once you have done the process with the timeline and you are securely in the now choice point moment, you get to move forward with your intention. You get to really hold that space on the road. The trick is that something may happen with someone that could send you off your path. It's very important to continue to level up your communication skills and own your word. This next segment that we're going to do, effective and constructive communication, I would say 98% of the people that have ever showed up in my office, that I've ever talked to, worked with, most people have never really learned to effectively communicate. So when they do learn, it creates miracles. I've had clients be divorced and get back together again. I've had relationships that people were in and just, wildly dysfunction, create functional, great relationships. It is that thing where when you're working and you don't own your voice at your work, the thing that can move you up that ladder at work, it is a big deal. So tune in next time for effective and constructive communication, the next tool in the toolbox. So thank you for joining me, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Have a good one.